Welcome to the Five Things Podcast. My name is Shawn.
And I'm Alisha.
I have a question for you, babe.
Okay.
Do you think I swear more or less than a normal person?
I have absolutely no opinion on that.
That's an excellent response. Why?
Because I couldn't tell you how much the average person swears. I don't know.
I think you and I, when we're together, swear about the same amount.
Yep. Maybe.
And it's a lot of F's.
Some
S's.
My favorite is the S.
Some GDs.
Can I just say it?
Of course.
Well, shit. That's my favorite thing to say.
Yeah, you do say that a lot.
It's just like my response to things that are surprising. Well, shit. Just comes right out. Is this going to be censored?
I will have to bleep that for YouTube, yeah.
Darn it.
Here's why I bring it up.
Darn it. I say my fake curse word.
Well, shucks.
Gee golly.
I bring it up because on SVM Gaming, I do not censor myself. And from the moment I launched it, I said, like, this channel
is an adult channel.
will have swearing. And if you want to be family
Adult
friendly,
content.
Don't watch that channel. That's just the way it is. And I kind of, for a little while, got away from swearing as much. Like, I just tried to watch my language a little bit more. And now I'm back to the point where I don't care again.
Okay.
And I'm just talking like normal. And one of my great frequent commenters, Sanico, wrote on a Minecraft video just this morning, Shawn, you used too many WTFs in this video. And my smart aleck response was, I don't remember saying WTF at all. Because I didn't say WTF.
Right.
And I was listening back to it and I was like, this is just the way I talk all the time. If I'm by myself and I'm just muttering to myself, this is exactly how I would talk. I'm not doing it anymore for YouTube. I'm not doing it any less.
Gotcha.
And I feel like I'm around people who swear normally in a normal amount, and I don't swear that much more or less than any of them.
I don't know. There are times when I'm definitely swearing more, and I can tell. I'm like, why are there so many F words coming out? Why? What is this? And then it's happening, and I can't stop it. But most of the time, I don't swear outrageously.
I don't think I swear outrageously.
I'll swear like a sailor.
Do sailors swear a lot?
That is their reputation.
Okay.
I think that's a remnant from like the 1800s, but whatever.
What else do sailors do?
I don't know. Sail ships, usually.
I meant, what are they reputed to do? Aren't they like reputed to go from port to port and sleep with all the women?
I don't know what you're talking about.
You don't? Are you covering for a sailor friend of yours?
No.
Okay.
Anyway,
it's the end of Horror October, and it was a very lame Horror October because
it was?
I got a promotion at work, and that basically made me have to cancel all of my
movie watching plans.
I had like a whole list of stuff that I wanted to watch, including this movie that was recommended to me by several people that's on Netflix called Headhunters. And it's sitting in my queue, and I'm going to watch it sometime when I get a chance. But I wanted to like cover 3 or 4 different movies and videos, and that just went out the window, unfortunately.
Yeah.
But we did get a chance to rewatch all the Paranormal Activity
We
movies
did.
And see the new one.
Yes. Those are like the horror movies I can handle. They were jumpy, scary, which I like.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a little bit of like horror stuff, but it's not gory, which I don't really like. And anyway, it's just tense.
Mm-hmm.
I like to be tense. I like to be frightened.
What did you think of High Tension when we watched that?
What is that?
It was that French.
What is that?
It was that French movie, and it's like two girls, and there's a guy chasing them.
I don't know if I watched it.
Yeah, you did.
Oh! Okay, I remember. I do. Isn't one of them crazy?
Yeah, it's a way to give away the end.
Thank you.
Yeah, one of them is crazy.
Yes.
and
She's
torturing the
blonde,
other one.
right? Yeah.
Yeah. Because that was pretty.
That was good.
That was gory, but it
And
wasn't.
it started out with some sexy times, as they always do.
Yes.
Anyway. Yeah, that wasn't bad.
Okay. What about Saw?
No.
That's too gory?
No, I mean, I still enjoy them, and I have watched several of them, probably one time.
Yeah.
But I just don't watch the worst parts. Like, I remember there's this one that I just can't watch it. It's morely like, there's this one where at the beginning there's a woman and she's like strapped down to this thing that's going to like tear apart her whole rib cage.
Yeah.
Couldn't watch it. Because you know it's coming. It's counting down, and she has to like dig a key out of herself.
Yeah.
I don't know.
One of those things.
Yeah. And I was just like, I know what's going to happen. It's not very tense because you know it's just going to be awful, so I just don't watch it. And then you're not really I guess I'm not really enjoying it.
There was a certain point when I was a teenager that I got old enough that I feel like all of a sudden I could separate between real life and fiction enough that if I'm watching a medical show on TV that is real, I have trouble looking at things that are really gross. But if it's in a movie, I not only watch, but I want to see how they fake it.
Okay.
Like, I will watch the grossest thing just to see how good it looks.
You know, there are even animated things that will gross me out. Like, because just because I can't, I think it's my empathy. Like, I just, like, that's happening to me.
A lot of it has to do with sound. Sound can have a
like
huge
squishes.
part in grossing you out.
Sometimes, me personally or everyone?
Just generally.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, like there
Including
are things that
me.
happen in like Family Guy. Like Peter falls down the stairs and then his arm's hanging off, and I'm just like, oh, and that's like animated. That's not even happening to a real person.
Right.
But then, oh my gosh, that's why we stopped watching Daniel Tosh.
Yeah.
Well, at least I did. First of all, I hate vomit, just hate it. And secondly, oh my God, there are so many people that get so hurt.
That's one of those cases that I do often have to look away because
That's real. That really happens. Some of it
real.
is hilarious
like
as
you
well.
see someone getting their elbow broken or something, and
Those two girls arm wrestling.
Oh God.
That one I think that was the final straw for me. I really do.
Yeah, that's one of the cases where I definitely
One girl
have to
broke another
look
girl's
away.
arm while they were arm wrestling. She obviously didn't do it on purpose. She didn't even do it that hard, but they were doing it like sideways on a table. Like
Yeah,
you
just
don't
like
do it
a
across. You have to do it across a table.
That's right. That's right.
They were both.
They were not across from each
Right.
other. They were on the same side.
Anyway, let's not talk about it anymore. It's grossing me out
Okay.
just thinking about
Well,
it.
good.
Now I'm
Now we got
picturing
it out of the way.
Ugh. So Paranormal Activity has none of that, and I love it. It's great.
Yeah, Paranormal Activity. I told Alisha I wanted to find this thing, and I try as I might, I could not find it. I remember hearing this story. I know it was on NPR. I think it was on This American Life, and it was about one of the earliest like scary dark rides in America. And I cannot find it. I thought it was called Scream in the Dark, but when I Googled that, that turns up some things, but not what I'm looking for. The idea that is the very first scary dark ride was this giant dark room. You got in like a haunted house car, and then you went into a dark room, and there were noises, and you could hear the other people in the other carts, and it was just terrifying. And you would just whirl around in the dark, and then you would come out the other side. And it would turn out, if you could go in there in the light, there was nothing in there at all.
You don't need anything.
There might have been some mirrors or something.
What, in the dark? Why would it matter if they're mirrors?
Well, because your eyes will adjust and you'll start, for the same reason that Bloody Mary works, which we can talk about when we talk about Paranormal Activity. Yeah, there was nothing in there at all, and it was just your mind would fill the darkness with scary things.
Of course.
And Paranormal Activity works on that same base level. Like, there are so many scares in that movie that are just you waiting for something to happen. And you feel so tense.
There's that one time.
Nervous.
Can we talk about the third one for like a half second?
Yeah.
The things that really scare me are like when, in the fourth one, say like the knife disappears. You're just like, when is that knife coming back?
That was all I could think about for
oh my
like the
gosh.
next half
Anytime
hour.
somebody was in that kitchen, I was just like, when's it going to come back? Or there's in the third one, which we watched more recently, the mom has her hand in the garbage disposal. And I'm just like, oh my God, what's going to happen? Like, and in that movie, I know there's no gore. So I know nothing's going to happen, but I'm still really tense because her arm is in the garbage disposal and he can turn off the lights like this, what a demon.
Yeah.
So like, he can control electricity. He can just turn it on.
I don't know if he can, well
he can flash
I don't know
the
if he
light.
can control electricity.
Whatever.
I think his power, excuse you for the sound.
Hey.
I don't think he controls it. I think it just like happens as a force of him being there.
Okay.
Like things happen.
Well, either way, I was nervous about that.
So we watched, after we had already started, I kind of wished that we would have done it in a different order just to be fun. But we watched 1 and then 2, and then we went to see the new one, 4.
Right.
And then just last night,
We watched the third.
we watched 3, or the night before. And Paranormal Activity is really interesting, even compared to other horror franchises, because like you could watch Friday the 13th Part 4 and it would stand on its own and you wouldn't really have to know much about
Or Halloween 4.
They would re-explain everything that
Right.
you needed to know and it would just be like a wrapped up story.
Mm-hmm.
Paranormal Activity up until now is just one story.
Yeah.
And like the first one takes place over the period of about a month. The second one takes place partly before that and partly after that.
Right.
The third one takes place
20
years before either of those. And the fourth one takes place several years after the first two, and actually just 2 years ago from present day.
Yeah.
It takes place in 2011.
Mm-hmm. I don't know.
Somewhere in 2011.
Yeah.
And basically, Elaine, I got an email from Elaine because she's looking forward to us discussing Paranormal Activity because she cannot watch the least bit scary things because she can't turn off her imagination, and they will just terrify her for days.
Nope.
She can't sleep.
No.
She gets nightmares. And so she's been looking forward to us talking about it because she really wants to know everything about it, but she can't watch them.
No, I don't have that at all.
I won't
linger. No. I get scared while I'm watching it, but for me, like, I always compare it to like a roller coaster.
Right.
I enjoy that's why I like roller coasters. I like to be scared a little bit. Like
that's exactly why I like watching scary movies.
Horror movie. I don't need the gore, but I like tension. I mean, even thrillers I enjoy just as much, even if they aren't like outright scary. Yeah. Sometimes there can be just as much tension. Anyway.
So the first movie, we learn about Katie and Mika. They are a couple living in a house by themselves. They don't have any kids, which is important. And they are terrified by this demon thing. For a very short time, they call it a ghost, and then pretty shortly after that, they have a specialist come over, and he tells them
it's a demon.
This is definitely a demon.
And the demon doesn't like him, and it's not his specialty.
And the difference is, he
He's
emphasizes,
just like, and this is not my thing, so I gotta go. But looks like you have a demon on your hands. Bye.
The difference, of course, is that a ghost is the spirit of a person.
Right.
A demon is not. A demon is
just
hell.
Evil manifest or something.
It is malevolent. And you get the impression that this is a much deeper thing. She has her sister over, and they talk about she remembers something happening when they were little kids.
Yeah, and a picture reappears.
Yes.
That was connected to their past.
Yeah. And that, of course, is the story that happens in Paranormal Activity 3.
Yeah.
The story of them as children. But basically, you get the impression that this demon has appeared, and it's seeking something that it has exchanged something for, like power or money or both, or like something. And basically at the end of it, Katie becomes completely possessed by the demon.
Yeah, I would say.
She gets swept away at one point by the demon, taken away by forcibly dragged through the house by an invisible thing. And after that, she's never the same.
Nope.
And she kills Mika, and she escapes. The second movie tells the story of her sister about a month before all of this happens. And for some reason, her sister never mentioned during the course of the first movie that they had weird stuff going on over at her house. And it by the end of the movie, you find out that it's because she doesn't know. Her memory has been wiped. She's forced to forget everything. So her sister's married. And she's married to a guy who, you learn halfway through the movie, his wife died. And he has a daughter. She's like 12 or 13. You get a lot of the story through the daughter's eyes, which is kind of cool. And at first, again, they think it's a ghost.
Yeah.
And the reason that you learn that his wife is dead is because the girl thinks it's really cool that this stuff is happening because she's thinks,
like, what if it's mom?
What if it's their mom?
And then it's not so nice.
Yeah, and then her boyfriend does a little bit of research on the internet and comes to the conclusion that this is a demonic force.
Right.
I like how each movie, someone has to eventually be like, this is a demon, not a ghost.
Yeah, exactly.
They figure it out and piece it together.
This isn't Casper the Friendly Ghost.
Yeah, they actually said that.
Yes.
So the family in this has just, Christy is Katie's sister. Christy,
the younger sister,
has just given birth to a baby boy who they name Hunter. And Hunter's grown up. He's just a little baby in a crib.
A little toddler.
And shortly after he's born, the entire house gets broken into, quote unquote. Everything is like swirled about and things are thrown out of cabinets. Nothing is missing except for in the third movie, you find out a box of tapes.
Yeah.
VHS tapes.
That Katie actually had dropped off there.
That Katie
somewhat
had dropped
recently.
off there. You know, because the move and everything.
Yeah, she just moved in with Mika.
Right. I love the way they figure out how to put this
It's all
stuff
intertwined.
together. It's retconning, like, the best possible way. So the whole house is messed up except for Hunter's room. Hunter's room is untouched. So they document it all. That's the reason they have the cameras. They start.
That's what they get, a security system.
They start filming everything, then they get a security system put in so that they can monitor activity around the premises. Shut up. And so we get to see the movie through the eyes of the security cameras, which is a nice setup. In the first movie, it was just basically like they'd started seeing things happening, and Mika took it upon himself to start filming things.
I think he just had one camera, too. They carried it through the rest of the apartment and kept it in their bedroom.
Yeah, you're right. It was
only one camera.
It was just one camera. He never set up more.
Right.
So that movie had a lot of first-person perspective, him walking around. The second movie did have some, but for the most part, it was security.
The girl often,
yes,
the daughter had a camera.
Because she bought into it way more than the parents. Her dad was the doubter of that movie.
Of course, as the guys usually are.
Eventually, things go from not being that bad, bumps and
to terrible
things moving around, to really bad. Things are really bad. And this was when you start getting I started getting the impression that there are rules to this haunting. Like, the less people that are in the house, the easier it is for the demon to
manifest,
do stuff. When Christy and her husband go out on a date and the girl is alone with the baby and the dog, there's a sound at the front door. So she goes to the front door, goes outside, door slams shut.
The wind.
Yeah.
As the doubting father says.
And at that point, I think that's the first time that the demon really tries to get Hunter.
Yeah.
And you've learned through the boyfriend looking up on the internet that the demon may be interested in the firstborn son.
Right. And they look back and see that Hunter's the first one in like 3 generations.
Yes. It's been a really long time since there's been a boy.
On that line of witches.
Shh. We don't know about that yet.
We don't.
So nothing happens at that point. Eventually, the demon is able to get rid of the dog, because the dog presents a major problem. The dog can sense it. Every single time it's around, the dog can tell.
Yeah. And protects Hunter a little bit.
I've also noticed throughout the series that another rule, I think, has to do with water. And the reason I thought of it at first is because of the movie Constantine with Keanu Reeves.
Yeah.
Which I like more than
you do.
People probably actually should. It's mostly because of Peter Stormare at the end. He shows up as Lucifer, and he's just, that scene is so good. And what's her name?
Good.
Tilda Swinton as Gabriel.
Yeah.
In that movie, Constantine tells Rachel Weisz's character that water makes the journey between the spiritual world and the real world easier.
Yeah.
And I don't know if that's like a pervasive
thing in
myth
the occult.
Yeah. But it would seem that these movies would tend to agree with that. The pool in the backyard, there are a lot of things that happen with the pool. The dad at one point goes to get in the hot tub, and it's like boiling hot.
Yeah. Like
hell water.
So hot.
And so I started noticing that, and then that comes up again in the fourth movie with water. So things get bad. Christy is at this point, she's the one who the demon really comes after, drags her down to the basement, and after that, Christy is not the same.
She becomes catatonic,
basically.
Much.
Yeah.
And
Katie became catatonic at first, and then
came back a little bit.
Came back fully possessed.
Yeah. Yeah.
So Christy's
catatonic. She's just laying in bed, not responsive.
The housekeeper that they've thrown out because she was trying to bless the place, because obviously she
is superstitious or Catholic, whatever you want to call it.
Both.
Both.
She sensed something too.
She sensed the evil, and she was like spraying herbs, smoking herbs around the house.
That's what you do.
Yeah, apparently.
Do you think that would have worked?
I don't know. What? Do I think that would in a fictional world? Sure.
I think I'm asking in this mythos, do you think that would have been enough to?
I don't know.
Chase out
They don't really. They have like a very weird thing with religion. They don't really talk about it much. Like Katie's holding a cross that one time.
Yeah.
And she's possessed at that time. So it's really, really weird.
Yeah, I can't tell how much religion has to do with it because they've never tried.
Exactly.
They've never done an exorcism or anything in this series.
Anyway.
So Christy's catatonic.
They call back in the housemaid, the cleaning lady.
She finds like a spell or something. That
white magic, we'll call it.
Yeah, they're going to cast the. It's really cool the way they show it to us. They don't explain it to us.
Right.
They show us the reaction of the girl to her dad.
Who wants to do it.
And she's like...
No, we can't do that to her.
We can't do that to Katie.
Right.
And at that moment, you're like... Oh.
Right.
That's how it got to Katie.
Yeah.
And he's like, she's my wife.
Because it's going for Hunter.
Right. We've put together the pieces. It wants her firstborn, and he doesn't want any part of that. You know, it's his kid too.
He doesn't want it to take his wife. He doesn't want it to take his kid. So they send the demon to Katie with a spell. And then the first movie happens.
It works, and it goes over to Katie.
And it just possesses her.
And then it possesses
her.
And then she goes over to her sister's house, kills the dad.
Yeah.
Kills her sister?
I don't know. I don't remember. I guess so.
Yes. The girl was on a school trip, and she came back to find both of them dead.
That's right. And Hunter was missing.
So she kills both of them and takes Hunter, and that's the end of the second movie.
Right.
The third movie, you only get a little tease of Christy and Katie.
Right.
In the form of the VHS tapes, and then that's the only thing you see of them.
Right. Because it all takes place 20 years prior when they were kids.
It goes back to 1988.
I love that movie.
And
we were discussing it at work, and everybody said the third's their favorite.
It's so good.
I really liked it.
It's so good because I think it establishes the biggest part of the mythos yet. Like it covers a lot of ground.
Right.
And it has these tremendous little girls in it that do a really good job. And something I will link the episode of Shawn and Carter have a podcast where Carter and I talked about it. I don't even remember really what we said about it other than our synopsis of it. But there's something I know that we missed that you and I thought about this time around. You said immediately something about the quality of the video.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, duh. In 1988, the highest quality video that they would have been able to shoot is 480. And a DVD nowadays is 720 and Blu-rays are 1080. Mm-hmm. And we watched the 1080 Blu-ray version and it was in 1080.
Yeah.
It looked really nice. But they even showed the VHS camera in people's hands and you can see it in the mirror or whatever.
Right.
So they must have like retrofitted a really nice camera
inside
these
the
old 80s
case of an
hardware.
80s. Right.
That's really funny. I can't believe Carter and I didn't think of that. Mm-hmm. So in this movie, you get the full story of the little girls being haunted by someone who they call
Toby.
I
don't think we've heard that name yet.
No, we have not heard Toby. The only indication we've really gotten of what the demon might be like is
in the first movie
we get footprints
and it's hooves
that are hoofs.
It is cloven hooves.
We get a snort that sounds
like
something that
a bull demon.
Yeah,
I picture a minotaur.
That's exactly what I picture, actually. I've always pictured that for some reason. I don't know if it's from watching Buffy the Vampire Slayer.
Something like that, yeah.
What? But they call this thing Toby. And Christy says pretty early on that it's just an old man.
She just says it's old. I don't know if she really says it's human.
Okay, I guess you're right. What's
he
the
said
name
it's
of the
old
guy?
like grandma. Dennis.
Dennis is the boyfriend of Christy and Katie's mother.
We don't know what happened to the dad. He's mentioned like one time. You just know he's gone. It doesn't sound like he's dead. He's just gone.
Yeah.
I'm wondering if he was haunted away. Anyway.
I don't know. Maybe that is a piece of the story that could be told in another movie.
Yeah.
For all we know. Because
we still don't know where their childhood fire was.
As we learn in this movie, this story probably goes all the way back to the 1930s.
Yeah.
So as long as they can find a way to work in found footage all the way, I mean, you could go all the way back to the 60s pretty easily.
Yeah.
Anything before that, you might be kind of stretching.
Right.
I don't know how they would do that. But Dennis is basically the protagonist of the movie.
Mm-hmm.
He's a wedding videographer, which is
Right.
the perfect setup
Cover.
for his camera usage.
Right.
And
The most effective part of the filming of this movie was obviously the oscillating camera.
right. Carter,
Oh my God.
Carter's favorite part of the entire series. Hands
Agreed.
down.
It was horrifying. It was the best. It's actually, I remember we were talking about the garbage disposal thing. That was oscillating. You see her sticking her hand in,
Yes.
and then you can't see anything anymore.
And you're just like, what's going on over there? I can't see it. I can't see it.
And then you go back and she's fine. And she's gotten like the spoon out or whatever it is.
So the footage starts with, it's Katie's birthday party, a good reason to have a camera.
Mm-hmm.
And then it goes to Dennis and what's the
Randy? His friend?
No, the mother.
Julie.
Dennis and Julie are messing around,
Mm-hmm.
and they're gonna smoke a little doobie.
Yeah.
And
Make a tape?
he decides to get brave and ask her if she wants to make a sex tape, and
Yeah.
she's stoned, so she says yeah. And they start, bow chicka bow wow,
Right.
which he actually says. And then at that moment, there happens to be an earthquake.
Yeah.
And at the first time I saw it, I was like, "Oh my God, the house is haunted!" But no, it was actually
It was an earthquake.
But
During the earthquake,
could it have been like
the coming of the demon?
the earthquake was the demon?
I don't know.
I have no idea. It
It could have been like an announcement of its presence.
could have been a coincidence. Could have not been.
Yes.
Doesn't really
but
matter.
During the earthquake, dust
Right.
settles down from the ceiling on a figure,
Yeah. You see the shape of the
a
figure.
tall figure.
And it's probably the one that they're calling Toby.
Right.
Here's where there are a lot of questions. Like, are Toby and the demon the same thing?
Right.
Are
Can
they...
Toby change the way he looks?
Yeah.
Because there was the sheet.
Because
anyway.
obviously Christy can see him
Right.
with no problem. It doesn't seem like Katie can. At least
No.
for...
When she bumps into it later.
Yeah, I don't know. She
She
definitely
obviously
can't
didn't
see
know
him
he
at
was there.
first.
Yeah.
She thinks that Christy has an imaginary friend. She
Right.
teases her for having an imaginary friend.
Being young and stupid.
Yeah. So after Dennis sees this figure, he of course
Yeah. It
wants
moves.
to-
The dust comes off of it. And he's like, I found this. And Julie looks at the tape and all she thinks is, I look so fat.
right. What a girl. See, this is the reversal. The guy is the one who's buying
Immediately
it,
convinced.
and she's not.
Right.
She is not convinced at all. And
But at the same time, it's still the guy who wants to document it.
yeah.
Like Mika was the one who in
Right.
the first was documenting.
And things progress, and bumps and scares and everything. Things get really intense when people leave the house. It seems like things happen
Or when everyone's asleep. I mean, that's really
always.
at night.
Always when people are unaware of what's going on. It seems like it's easier for the demon to move. But they go out on a date, and a babysitter comes over, and that's when the sheet.
Well, and the puff, whatever.
Yeah. So the babysitter tells them a scary story before bed, and she pulls out this bed sheet, and she walks around like a ghost.
And she's like, Dennis, we're a ghost,
She
or something like
teases
that.
the camera. She's like, Dennis, I found your ghost.
Yeah.
And the girls
Then
go to
she-
sleep.
Yeah, she leaves the sheet upstairs
Right. She folds it up and puts it somewhere in the bedroom. And then she goes to, do homework
in
or
the
whatever.
kitchen.
And the sheet appears behind her, and it looks kind of like...
One of the kids is in it. One of the two girls.
Right. Not a tall person.
Right.
And
Something it looks like Christy.
based on where Christy and Katie are making their eye line with Toby...
He's up,
You'd
right.
think that it was an adult-sized
Right.
thing. And we'll come back to that in Paranormal Activity 4, this
Right.
small-sized thing. So that freaks the babysitter out because she sees the figure fall out of the sheet.
She doesn't.
She turns around as it's falling.
Oh.
Maybe she just sees it on the ground.
Yeah.
But
I think so.
it falls away as she's turning. And she goes upstairs to check on the girls because she's like, why in the world is this down here? And she heads towards that little
The
door,
camera where the little door is.
the little storage area in the
Which
girls'
Christy
room.
has already said is Toby's room kind of thing.
Yeah, that's where Toby lives. And that's where she stands to talk to Toby. Mm-hmm. And something happens, like the door shuts really fast. There's a
Right, the
really
puff of
loud
air.
sound. And scares the... I like that she doesn't scream. She does that and grabs her face.
I don't know what that was.
Oh my God.
Yeah. And just runs downstairs and pretends something happens. The parents arrive and she jets out of there.
She's like, oh, my mom is waiting. Bye.
Yep.
I don't even need the money. This one's on me. I got to get out of here.
Yeah.
And, of course, Dennis watches the tape, and he's like, what the hell?
Yeah, he shows it to Randy, his friend, who was
And
pretty funny.
after that, Christy gets sick. And I don't know if the sickness is at all related or if she's just a little girl who got
I assumed it
the
was
cold.
because she said at one point that she would get in trouble for something. And then at some point she yells at Toby and says, I don't want to talk to you anymore. And I think
then
she
she
gets sick
gets
after
sick.
that. So I assumed it was. Oh, I mean, I can't remember if that's the exact sequence of events, though. So I might be wrong.
Okay. I don't know why the sickness wouldn't be tied in.
Right.
It would make sense. So they want to take her to the doctor, and they call Randy over to watch Katie. Mm-hmm. Again, people out of the house. Things
Just
get
the two
worse.
of them.
And Katie overheard Randy telling
How to play-
Dennis at one point
Yeah.
how to play Bloody Mary. And the reason that Bloody Mary normally works, and I mentioned it earlier, is because as your eyes adjust to the darkness, you can start to see things in the mirror.
Okay.
So like you say Bloody Mary a couple times, you wait, and all of a sudden you'll see yourself or the other person that's in the room with you, and it'll scare you.
Right.
In this case, they say Bloody Mary and wait.
And he turns on the lights immediately and he's like, oh, nothing, bye.
Oh yeah, let's stop now.
And
Can
she's
we
like,
play
no,
with
I
dolls?
really want to do it.
So they wait even longer, and something gets Randy.
Yeah.
Something's in the room and scratches Randy. He's got this huge
Just like a long claw.
tear down his side. And so he's a little freaked out.
Super freaked out. His voice is really funny.
I really like that kid. And they try to leave the bathroom, and the room outside
Has something in it.
has something. You see it fly past the door.
Right.
He slams it. He opens it again. Tables and chairs all of a sudden go flying across
Yeah.
the room. He closes it again. When he opens it again, this is like all one unedited shot, which
Okay.
I freaking love.
Yeah.
When he opens it again, the room has changed again. It's all dark.
Yeah.
The further, like the annex over to the side where they had the tea party and stuff, is completely black.
Yeah.
And it wasn't like that just a moment ago. And the thing flies. Does the thing fly past the door again?
I don't think so.
They just walk out
Yeah.
safely
He
this time.
sets the table and chair back.
Yeah.
And then when Dennis and Julie and Christy come home, he's like, I'm never doing this again. He gathers up all of his stuff and he leaves.
Yeah.
Because he's like, this is too real, dude.
He was working for Dennis
Right.
as like with the wedding stuff. So he's like, I'm out of here. I read from this demonology book that you should not be messing with this stuff, and I think you're just provoking it at this point. Like, it feeds on fear, and the more that you fear it and record it and everything, it's just going to get worse.
Acknowledge it. Yeah.
And so things get worse.
Yeah. Next is when Julie herself gets scared because she doesn't believe any of it.
That's
she
right.
yells. Actually, Dennis tries to show Julie everything.
Right.
He tries to show her the tape that
Randy tells
that
her,
Randy made.
show her the tape.
Right.
You have to show her what
You can't
is going
just
on.
let her ignore it. And Julie doesn't want to see it. She doesn't even want to talk about it. She's like, we need to stop. Period. Done. I don't want to hear any more about it. Christy's scared. Katie's, and this is actually when
At
Katie
the
gets
same
scared.
time that this is happening,
It's interwoven footage.
Christy goes running upstairs, and Katie's chasing her, and she runs into Toby.
Yeah.
She's just staring at him because obviously she can see him at this
I
point.
don't know if she still can. I think she's just like, what did I run into? And she's just looking up.
Okay, so
like,
maybe anyway, all of a sudden it grabs her by the hair,
by the ponytail.
and
Lifts her off
lifts
of
her
her
up
feet.
into the air. And I watched that back in slow motion on my computer, and it looks awesome.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure part of it is computer generated, but
Oh, okay.
I can't tell.
Yeah.
The effects in this movie are so easy to make look good because the footage is so crappy.
Right.
Like, it's not real high quality stuff. So you can put special effects in there that just look so good.
Yeah.
Really
So she gets
effective.
like lifted up. She goes running down and said, Toby pulls my hair. And
Yeah.
Julie's like, you're influencing the kids. They believe this stuff is real. You can't keep doing this. You're done with the cameras. I want them down tomorrow.
And that night,
Julie gets haunted.
Julie goes, this is probably the
One of
best
the oh my
effect
gosh.
in the movie. Oscillating camera. She's in
Right.
the kitchen, and she gets something in the kitchen. I don't remember what. And she starts to walk with the oscillating. Like, she's
Right.
walking as it's
It
panning
follows
left.
her over to like the front door on the staircase that leads to the girls' room.
She hears a sound back there.
She walks back into the kitchen.
Turns around, walks back.
With the oscillation, and the fan's following her back toward the kitchen. And she gets there, and there's nothing.
Everything's gone.
Everything in the entire kitchen. The
counters are clear. The table's gone. All the chairs are gone.
She just looks around like,
one
what?
single shot.
Yeah. Everything is there, and then nothing's there by the time the fan's back, and she's back, and she's just like, whew. And then every single thing in the kitchen falls down at once. Apparently, it was just lifted up on the ceiling.
Yeah.
Everything comes crashing to the ground, and she screams and runs
and smash cut to them arriving at Grandma Lois's.
Yeah.
That was one of those unintentional, well, probably slightly intentional laughing moments because you're like, see, you are going to Grandma's. Mm-hmm. And Grandma Lois has been over at the house one time and kind of given her a hard time about not wanting to have any more kids.
Yeah.
She's like, don't you want a son? And that's
she says, you always wanted a boy.
Okay, yeah. She makes it sound like it was her idea.
Of course.
That's the moment that you've seen Paranormal Activity 1 and 2. You kind of already know. You're like, oh, shoot. Grandma Lois cannot be trusted.
Kind of.
I did. That was what I thought immediately.
She is pretty freaky.
And Dennis has found, when he was trying to explain it to Julie, he showed her this book where he talks about the coven.
It's the mark, coven. Which the sign in every movie so far? The triangle with a circle in it? Or was this the first one?
Was it in the first one? It was definitely in the second.
Yeah, I don't think it was in the first.
They might have come up with that whole story after the first.
Yeah. Anyway, there's a symbol. It's just basically a witchcraft symbol. It's a circle and a triangle. And Dennis talks about it being the sign of this particular coven from the 30s.
Yeah.
And he talks about the ceremony that they would have where once the girls became old
enough to have
of
children.
Age, yeah, they would do something to them and then brainwash them.
They would
initiate
have them. They would have them have sons, take their sons away from them, and then brainwash them. I guess to forget that they even had them.
I guess.
It wasn't. He didn't have enough time to explain before Julie cut him off.
Exactly.
Which was convenient because that way they can figure the whole thing out later and work it into the story. So, they go to Grandma Lois's, and I don't trust this woman, and
she's pretty freaky.
They're barely there before they decide to go to bed because they haven't been sleeping, and the girls
haven't been sleeping.
Yeah.
And then at 1:30 in the morning, because he has the camera filming them still.
Yeah.
Julie wakes up and is like, "What is Grandma doing?"
You hear a car drive up.
Yeah.
You hear a vehicle arrive,
and she's
then
like, "What's she doing? She's gonna wake up the
noises
girls."
And furniture being rearranged, and she goes to check it out, and it cuts to 5 minutes later, and she's still not there. Dennis is like, "Where is Julie?" He gets up, walks over to the camera, steps in front of it for a moment, then moves to the side. And Grandma Lois is standing right behind him.
Just watching. She doesn't acknowledge anything. She just stands there, being freaky.
And then he moves in front of it again.
She disappears.
Grabs the camera, and she's gone. And from that moment to the end of the movie, it's basically one shot. Mm-hmm. I think there might be a little bit of editing in there, but...
Of course.
He walks through the whole house looking. He goes to the girls' room. They're gone.
Yeah.
He's calling for Julie. He's calling for anyone. He sees a figure in one room, and he goes to that room, and the figure's gone.
And Christy had been drawn. Christy's the one who's had this affinity for Toby.
Yeah.
And Christy gets drawn to this one painting in Lois's
painting
house.
Of a unicorn.
Yeah. A creepy man with a unicorn.
Yeah.
Anyway... And when he gets to the room where he saw this figure, there's nobody in there, but the painting is down. And behind the painting is this coven symbol, triangle with a circle. And on the other wall, I guess another painting's down, and there's the classic upside down star and a circle pentagram. Yeah. So he's just like, what?
And there are all these candles lit.
Yeah. Yep.
Not a good sign.
No, he's just something occult. And then he whirls around. He goes outside.
Yeah, there's a connected garage.
Okay.
There's a walkway to a garage. And he goes outside.
He sees women.
He sees there are people in the yard at a distance, and there's a fire.
Okay.
And he walks over to the garage, opens the garage, and it's just pitch black in there. And
he turns on
the lamp on the camera.
And there's 8 old ladies that are crazy looking. He just slams the door.
I think that was the only thing that really scared me the first time that I actually jumped. That I was like, oh my God, old women.
Oh, what are they doing?
And so he sees them. He makes a beeline back for the house.
Right. Shuts himself in. They're following him.
Yeah.
You can see that the women are following him
He
already.
he locks that door. He runs to the front door, locks that door.
And then...
Then he finds Christy.
Right.
And he decides, like, they need to get out of here this moment.
But
And
they can't. The door is locked.
Yeah.
So he puts them in a closet.
He wants to try and hide from them, so he takes Christy and they go in a closet. And
he doesn't hear anything, so I guess he just goes out again.
yeah. And
To find Julie.
Yeah, find everyone.
Right.
Julie, he can see at the top of the stairs.
And as he walks up...
he knows that something is wrong, and he's
Right,
like,
'cause she's not answering.
What's going on? What's wrong? And when he gets to the top, he can tell that she's just levitating in midair.
Yeah, her feet are just dangling
And
there.
I'm pretty sure she's already dead.
Yeah.
And then her body is just thrown at him.
Hurled at him, knocks him backward down the stairs. They
That's where
tumble
one
together.
of those edits was.
Yeah.
Yeah, it cuts
Probably.
to black at least once. And I was like, oh,
Of
there's
course.
a cut.
And he kind of throws her off of him. He gets really upset. Christy comes out.
Yeah.
And they are going into the living room next to it. And that's when...
He sees Katie
looking at Julie's...
over Julie's body. And he could not have walked more slowly towards Katie. That's like your heart is pounding in your chest for what's going to happen. And Katie whips around and her face is changed.
Demon face.
Demon face.
I didn't even see it. I looked away.
Really?
Yes.
That's great. It's very subtle. Like, it looks human-like,
Right.
but there's something strange.
Crazy eyes.
And he gets thrown backwards through a lamp. And at that point, the camera ends up on the ground.
Right.
And he's trying to drag himself across the room somehow.
Somewhere.
Lois comes out and takes Katie's hand, and they both look at him, and all of a sudden his back is, like, his entire body is
Arched.
turned into a shape that no human
A U shape.
should
backwards.
be in. And
And
then
he's dead.
Then he moves no more.
Right. And Christy, who he was sort of protecting, just walks over to Grandma and Katie.
Grandma calls for her, and
They walk upstairs.
they walk up the stairs.
They walk over Julie's body, walk over Dennis's body.
She says something to them like, "We have to go prepare" or something.
Yeah, we have to get ready.
And that's the end of the movie.
Yeah.
So the fourth movie opens in I'm pretty sure it was 2011.
Mm-hmm.
And it introduces us to our main protagonist, who is a 13 or 14-year-old.
No, she's older than that. She's in high school.
Was
She
she?
can't drive, but I think she had to have been
She must have been 15.
15 or 16 maybe.
Okay. We'll say 15-year-old girl.
I mean, the guy was talking about sex, Ben, so I would assume that they're a little bit older anyway.
I was
Slightly.
15. I remember. Okay. Making a face at me that no one can see.
Anyway.
15-year-old girl.
Okay.
And our primary way of seeing this entire film is through webcams.
Right. Which I really liked.
It was a really good idea.
I felt like everything else that we had seen so far was mostly either like third person, like, you're just watching like the security cameras, or it's somebody holding a camera and you're seeing what they're seeing.
Right.
But this one you can see their reaction.
Yeah, a lot of times you're looking at someone's face.
You don't even see what's happening. Nothing scary except for their reactions. It's great. Anyway.
It really bothers me that the critics have been so dismissive of this series as it's going on, because I feel like they're not recognizing the cool things that the filmmakers are coming up with in order to tell the story. And they're just like, yeah, it's more of the same. And I'm like, it's similar, but they've thought of something to make it different and new again.
Oscillating fan. Webcams. Connect. Anyway.
So it starts off, we are introduced to her boyfriend, Ben.
It's not a boyfriend. It's just a guy.
Yeah.
Who's clearly interested in her.
He thinks that she's his girlfriend.
No, he does not. He knows it's not.
Okay.
Anyway, they're just teenagers who clearly like each other. Go on.
They have a lot of Skype conversations that
in the middle of the
further
night.
the plot. She also has an HD camera that sometimes she uses, and you get footage from that. But basically, the movie starts with there's a neighbor across the street, and they don't really know the neighbor. The film actually opens with footage of a soccer game of her little brother.
Right.
Her little brother.
Yeah.
We're just going to say for now.
Right.
And in the background is this strange looking,
Weird boy.
not strange looking, but strange acting
Right.
boy. And you see him in the background. The camera kind of hovers on him for a second, like, what the hell is he? He's
Right.
just standing on the other side of the field looking creepy. Then he moves out of frame because she moves the camera, and then when she comes back, he's gone.
Right.
After the soccer game, and by the way, Dad did not show up in time to see the soccer game. He's
Absent father.
yeah, kind of an absentee father. He shows up. They all go home, and on the way home, she's filming in the car, and they pass the little boy on the road, and she's like, "Did he walk all the way? Is he walking all the way home from the field?" And that's our first little like indication of the creepy
Weird
kid across the street. So they've got a house that
A nice house.
is very conducive for this story.
Open floor
Lots
plan.
of open areas. Her bedroom is covered by a webcam that's against the wall, so you can see the whole room. There's a curtain. There's like a beaded curtain in
Into
the
her closet.
in the back, and this is all very important
Totally.
details. What is the first thing that actually happens? Is it
The
just
lady across the street.
okay?
Ambulances.
Yes, in the middle of the night, there's an ambulance. She turns on the camera because she's like, I don't know what's going on. And turns out that the mom of this strange acting little kid across the street has been hurt, or she's sick, or like you never get the real
don't know what happens at all.
details of what happened.
She's just gone. Mama's gone. Kid needs to stay with them.
Yeah, because you get this very short explanation. He doesn't have any family. Like
He doesn't have anyone.
he doesn't have anywhere to go.
So he's going to stay with the neighbors across the street who don't know him at all.
yeah.
Okay.
What's his name? Why am I
Robbie.
Robbie.
I can't remember the other kid's name. And he begins living with the younger son in their room.
He has bunk beds, so that was convenient.
Yeah.
Wyatt.
Okay. So Robbie comes to stay with them. He becomes friends with Robbie. Wait, Robbie and Wyatt become friends. And what else? What else, Sean? Go.
The first pretty good scare of the movie, Alex and Ben
Talking on Skype.
are no, they're together,
Oh.
and it's dark, and for some reason, this is actually before the mom disappears.
Mm-hmm.
They go out back into the treehouse, and they climb up in it, and it's dark.
Yeah, it's the middle of the night.
And she's holding the camera in first-person perspective, so we're seeing her.
Right, her view.
And she turns once she gets up to the top of the ladder of the treehouse, and that kid is in the treehouse.
Yeah, just hanging out in there.
Talking to someone.
Yeah.
That's our
Someone
first
freaking.
indication of like the ghostly presence, demonic presence.
So they walk him home, right?
They take him home, and then after that is when something happens.
Yeah. I like that this movie had a lot more fake scares, I felt like. There's the one where Ben is talking to Alex on the phone, Skype,
Yes.
and then he shows up at their house. He's right outside. She thinks,
The connection keeps getting worse and worse.
and she's
and
like, Ben,
worse.
Ben.
It sounds like he's going through a tunnel.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, like she's getting closer and closer to the screen.
So
like,
you can't
all
see
you can
anything?
see is her face.
Right.
And all of a sudden, she gets torn away from the screen at like
right.
30 miles an hour. And
Which
it's
is
Ben
just, right, who
behind
pulled her off the bed and was secretly in the room. The
well,
other fake scare was when she was on Skype with Ben in the middle of the night. He wasn't there, and she leaves through one door in her room.
Yeah.
Goes
And
around the house to go figure out
we
what's
can
happening.
see him in a window. Can't like he's a picture-in-picture on
Yeah.
the screen,
Yeah, I guess so.
and he's just waiting for her to come back. And
Right.
he gets
He's like, Alex.
he gets a little nervous, and he starts calling for her.
Yeah. And then I guess there's another entrance to her room through her closet or something, and she just pops in from the side very suddenly.
Scares the crap
Yeah.
out of him.
Yeah. It was great.
There was the thing that was overwhelmingly noticeable about this movie over the other ones is humor.
I thought Randy was pretty funny. After watching the third one again, I was like, Randy was pretty funny.
Randy's funny, and
But he isn't as funny as Ben.
the stepdad in the second one is funny, kind of.
Yeah.
Like he's funny, but it's not like over. Like this movie had an overwhelming sense of humor for the first half of it.
Yeah.
That it didn't detract from the scares,
No, not at all.
but it just made it more engaging.
Yeah.
Ben was so funny.
Yes, I enjoyed him a lot.
You enjoyed him.
Well, like it was a good
He's
part of the movie.
16. So after Robbie comes over, Alex is freaked out by What?
Robbie, he came into her room in the middle of the night and laid down with her.
That's right. So she decides that she wants to, because Ben says that he can, she decides that she wants to spy on the whole house.
No, this is what Ben says. Hey, just this happens. My computer just does it. My computer just saves every file and every conversation. So I was watching you while you slept.
To record the entire night of you sleeping.
And he saw that Robbie climbed into bed with Alex.
Yeah.
Which is, I don't know, he lost his mom. She's gone. Like, it isn't actually that strange, but to her it is because she's a 15-year-old girl. She doesn't want to comfort a 7-year-old, whatever.
Yeah. So he rigs up all the
cameras in the house to constantly record.
Yeah. There's one in the kitchen.
Her mom's laptop.
Yeah. There's one in the living room that they actually camouflage for some reason.
Right.
He puts something in front of it so that you can't see it. There's
her webcam.
Hers.
And
there's one
Wyatt's.
in the... Oh, you're right.
It's Wyatt's laptop.
There's
and he's
Wyatt's
like,
laptop.
this is a way too good of a laptop for a 7-year-old.
There's also one... It was her old laptop.
Yeah,
they
I remember.
explained.
I know.
There's also one in her parents' bedroom. They don't ever really... Yes, because it shows their parents sleeping. Sometimes you can see that it's just the mom because her dad is never there.
Yeah.
Well, the thing is, nothing ever happened on that camera ever.
Okay.
So when the trailer for this movie came out, I said something to Carter like, if this is a horror movie told entirely by children, I'm so excited. And it basically was. Mm-hmm. The parents show up every now and then, but
her mom gets the knife scare. Her dad.
For the most part, nothing really happens with them. It's mostly told by the kids.
Right.
So we get the Connect thing that if you've seen a commercial for this movie, you've seen the Connect dots. It paints the room with infrared. So if you have a camera that can shoot night vision, you're going to see the thousands of dots
that are everywhere tracking people.
Right. They use that to great effect.
Yes.
Close to the end.
They do.
So things get progressively stranger.
Scary things are happening. Alex is freaking out, trying to show her family, but Alex can't figure out how to actually see the archived video.
At one point it gets locked down and she can't remember the password and
yeah. Ben tries to show her anyway.
Computer problems. Silly girls who don't know how to use computers.
Or boys. It just happens to be a girl. There are boys who don't know how to use computers, Shawn.
Again, when people leave the house, seems to be when more things will happen. Mm-hmm. Alex arrives at home after school, and there's no one else there, perceivably. It turns out Robbie is there, and one of the chandeliers in the house just falls off.
Yeah. Well, she was actually wasn't she in the boys' room for a second? She had gone upstairs, and the train started, and then she walked out.
Yeah, you're right.
And then she walked out and saw the chandelier.
Right.
Fall. Almost on top of her. See, to me, it seems like this is a very clumsy demon. It misses a lot.
See, that's the thing that I can't tell if some of these things are the demon's intention or if they just happen because the demon's there.
Yeah.
Like the electric stuff especially.
Yeah.
Like in the second movie, there's like this kid's choo-choo train that keeps moving around. Mm-hmm. Do you think that the demon is really like, I'm going to scare him with the choo-choo train? Or is it just because like the bridge between the spirit world and the real world... There's
well, it seems like he does I don't know. Like when I think it was Wyatt was riding the tricycle around. That was in the fourth one, right?
Yeah.
And the chair just comes out in front of him. Like sometimes some things I think it must be doing intentionally.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I do not.
It overwhelmingly it wants to scare.
Right.
Because the fear is what feeds it. Mm-hmm. So I don't think a little choo-choo train is that scary, but things like a chandelier falling, that's scary.
Yes.
That's life-threatening, actually. So late one night, I'm going to read this part right off of Wikipedia. Alex notices several black cars outside Robbie's house across the street. She goes over to investigate, and she creeps up. There's a gate with a wall in front of the house, and she starts to open the gate, and there's a woman there.
A very normal-looking woman.
There's some soccer mom.
Right.
She's like, "Hi, can I help you?" And it's the middle of the night.
Right. It's 2 or 3, obviously her camera says.
Yeah, and she's like, "Oh, sorry, wrong house," and she runs back to her house. And after that is when the chandelier happens. The parents, of course, think it's faulty installation. They get all angry at the company that installed them. You almost killed my daughter. That whole thing.
Better check on the other one.
Right, and she tells them that it was nothing, that it was not an accident, that Robbie was there and
Right.
blah, blah, blah. And it's shortly after that we get this very important part of exposition that they've left out until now. Wyatt is adopted.
Yeah.
And as soon as that happened, I whispered something to you in the theater, and you were like, well, I thought because we went into this thinking, for obvious reasons, that Robbie
is Hunter.
And as soon as we've been...
You see this kid,
the
he's
more
a
time
blonde.
we've spent with him, I've been like, he doesn't look anything like that kid that we...
Right.
Because even at the beginning of the movie, we got a little tease of Katie with Hunter, like in 2006.
Right.
And he's this brunette kid.
Yeah, with dark eyes.
And so I'm like, this doesn't fit. And as soon as you find out Wyatt is adopted, you're like, oh my God, no. Because all of a sudden you realize what's happening.
Right.
So Alex is left alone with the two boys, and they go running across the street to the presumably empty house.
Right.
And Alex goes over there to get them.
She's like, guys, what are you doing here?
Boys. And it's very frightening in there. She can't find them.
Yeah, everything. Well, it's basically a closed down house, which is a little frightening. It has weird old pictures, and
all the furniture is draped in cloths.
Right.
Which is really strange if this has only been empty for a couple days.
Unless they just moved in. I mean, I think it did make it sound like they were new neighbors. It's not like Robbie had lived there forever.
Well, I'm going to say that I don't think they had neighbors at all.
Could be.
I think it was all a setup for what's going on.
Yeah.
She finds the kids, and then she finds Katie.
Right.
Katie's just there.
Yep.
And if she is supposed to be the mom who was sick or injured or whatever, she doesn't look sick or injured. Yeah. She looks fine. She looks normal. She's acting normal. Mm-hmm. She's acting the way that we saw her acting in the first movie before she got really weird.
Sort of. She's still a little strange. She has a weird walk.
She's acting strange, but I mean, she's not acting catatonic or possessed. Exactly. I think she is possessed, but I think the demon has gotten better at acting like a human. So she takes Wyatt back home.
And leaves Robbie with Katie, of course.
And Wyatt tells her that Robbie has told him that
he's needed by his old family.
He's needed by his original family. And we're like, oh.
And she's like, I'm your family. Your name is Wyatt.
And Robbie has told him that his name is Hunter. Mm-hmm. And this idea has like poisoned Wyatt's mind, and he's started to act strangely. He writes Hunter on the back of his closet door.
Yeah, they always seem to hide the evidence of the stuff. Like in the third one.
It's in that crawl space.
It's in that weird crawl space. She draws the symbol. And inside his closet door, he writes Hunter.
I think that just like it's easier for the demon to manifest when there are less people, maybe it's easier in a smaller space.
Right.
And I think closing doors also has an effect. Because the demon likes closing doors with people in them. Like when Christy gets dragged down to the basement, he's got to close the door to fully possess her.
And when Katie gets shut in, because she's yelling at Christy in the third one, Katie's like, you don't have an invisible friend. He's not real. So she goes into Toby's room. Right. And then Toby slams the door on her and locks her in there.
And holds it shut, yeah.
Right. And she obviously can't see Toby at that point.
Right.
Well, anyway.
Shortly after that, Robbie goes back to stay with his quote-unquote mother.
But he still shows up at their house.
Yeah. The mother is giving Wyatt a bath. And this is the water thing that I was talking about. Mm-hmm. She leaves him alone with Bubbles. You know, he's got his little boat toy or duck or whatever. He's playing with something. And there's like a strange sound, and he looks perturbed, like something weird is going on. Right. And then all of a sudden he gets pulled underwater.
For a
very long time. A time that was long enough that they had to have messed with the footage because he would have been in trouble down there.
Yeah.
After that, he looks very strange.
Yes. He comes back up.
He comes back up, but he looks...
I feel like the demon... This is exactly what happened with Katie and Christy. They get dragged down the hall. She gets dragged to the basement. He gets stuck underwater. They get so close to death that they're just like, I'll do whatever you want.
Yeah. We've gotten the indication from somewhere that Hunter needs... What the demon wants from Hunter is for Hunter to sacrifice a virgin.
Yeah, Ben finds that on the internet.
Right. And that night after the tub
And Ben's
thing,
like, well, I can fix that.
ha 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 ha.
Alex, yeah.
That night after the thing happens in the tub, Wyatt goes into Alex's room, and she's been, her mother gave her a sleeping pill, which her dad was not at all happy about.
No.
And because of that, she does not wake up when all of a sudden she starts levitating off of the bed.
Right.
She's just pulled up by this.
Right.
Basically, it looks like a hand wraps around her waist and pulls her up.
Right.
And
Robbie has to, Hunter, Wyatt Hunter.
Hunter Wyatt.
Has to show that he has these abilities.
Right.
Like, that was one of the things that he has to first prove that he has the abilities by
he
doing
must
something.
have a supernatural ability
Right.
on his own without being
Right.
possessed by the demon.
A paranormal
Yeah.
talent. He lifts her up, so I guess he's proven himself, but he does have to kill the virgin. And then the next night or something.
Pretty much the final act, it's actually during the day.
Well, we forgot about the car in the garage.
Oh, yeah, we did totally forget about that.
I didn't.
When did that happen?
I just don't remember when it happens. Her parents leave for the night. At one point, they go out. I don't even know if Wyatt's there or not. He must be. He's just up in his room, and he's like, I don't want to do it. And doesn't Katie come in? Is she there at the time?
Katie comes in more than once.
Yeah, I don't remember if she does or not. Anyway, Alex gets really scared, hears something in the garage, goes out there.
The garage door's open.
Right. She shuts it,
She shuts it.
and then she gets locked in.
She starts to leave and hears more sounds, so she goes back out and gets locked in.
In the garage. The door to the house slams shut. The garage door is closed. And then,
The car
of
turns
course, the car starts.
And she can't
Breathe, carbon
Breathe.
monoxide, and she starts freaking out.
Smart girl.
Yeah. She doesn't really know what to do at first. She's just kind of running around trying to do anything.
Yeah.
Trying to open the garage, trying to hit the buttons, trying to get in the house. She gets enough breath, finds a golf club, breaks the windows of the car, hops in the car, and
starts it.
throws it in reverse.
It's already started because
Yeah,
it's
of
running.
course. So she just throws it in reverse and gets through the garage door.
Yeah, that was one of those great single shot things that went on for a really long time, all the way through her backing the car out of the garage. That I was like, this is great filmmaking.
Yeah. I can't believe you forgot about that.
I can't believe I forgot about it too. It's been, we saw it like 2 weeks ago. And
yeah. And her parents are just like, why did you do that? And she's like, something tried to kill me. And they're like, nuh-uh. It's the same as a chandelier, Alex. You're just being dumb.
Right.
Disbelief.
Okay, so now I'm going to skip back to
The end.
close to the end.
So that was I think that was either Wyatt's or Katie's first attempt to kill her.
Yeah.
I think Hunter could have prevented her from doing anything. I think he was supposed to prevent her from getting out. I think that was his test. And if he would have killed her then, it would have been
That
done.
would have taken care of it.
Yes, but he did not.
Yeah.
He didn't prevent it. She got loose.
So we didn't even talk about the knife thing. It wasn't really a big deal.
No, not at all. Her mom's cutting up veggies for dinner and a knife. She sets it down and walks away, and it just like
It just flies up in the
to
air.
the ceiling. Done. Gone. You just don't know what happens to it. It's gone. And then like 3 nights later,
Several nights later,
the dad is in the kitchen doing something, and it just falls right in front of his face.
like, it's a walk
And
right
he's
into
just
the
like,
counter.
Where did that just came from? What?
So anyway, during the day, Holly is the name of the mother, by the way, I forgot. She starts hearing strange noises. She's distracted by them. Katie comes in and walks upstairs
Yeah,
To
and the
go-
mom doesn't see it.
to go get Hunter.
Hunter Wyatt.
Mom walks back into the living room and all of a sudden just gets like freaking hit by a invisible
Did she get thrown to the
blast.
ceiling?
Yes, she gets
Okay.
thrown straight up in the air,
falls down
on
and breaks
the
her
ground,
back.
and she's probably dead.
Yeah.
Katie comes in and drags her body.
Oh, this is when the dad had started to believe Alex and took her out for lunch. That's where they are.
That's right.
right?
They went to have a talk about.
Yeah.
He says, "Maybe I do believe you. I
The
wanna-"
knife thing happened to him.
Right. So they go to talk. As soon as Katie gets rid of
The
the
mom.
body,
Oh, yeah.
Ben shows up.
Because he's like, Alex, you haven't answered me.
And
Alex, what's going
Alex
on?
has been calling him to try and get him to come over here and
Right.
unlock the computers because she can't remember the password
Right.
or whatever. And he
He goes up to her room.
He goes up to her room. He does that thing where he gets too close to the camera so that you can't
See what's happening
behind
in the
him.
room. He leans back so you can see again, and Katie's right
And
there.
Katie's right there.
Breaks his neck.
Just turns his head the whole way around. That was a nice visual effect as well. Alex and her dad comes back, and they see... I don't remember where the camera is that's showing this. Is she holding it or something? She must be, because they see Katie walking into her house, quote unquote, with Wyatt. And they're like, was that Wyatt with the neighbor? What the... And
the dad goes over.
The dad goes over there.
Alex walks into her house to see everyone else.
To see her mom. And she goes back out. Really great little scare. Oh, no, that was earlier with the Prius thing. I forgot about. That was funny.
She goes up to her room.
She finds...
The first thing she does is call Ben.
Yeah. Because she sees that he's been here somehow. She sees the stuff on the computer.
And she was like, Ben, why were you here? So she calls him.
Here's the phone ringing.
His phone rings in her closet. And she's like, Ben, don't try and scare me. Ben, come out. Ben, this isn't funny. Ben, then she finds his dead body.
Yeah. So she runs screaming outside.
She still hasn't found her mom. I don't know where her mom is.
Her dad's car is speeding down the road away.
Oh.
That was the car that they were just in.
Okay, I didn't see.
And she's like, hey, wait. And then, being the brazen girl that she's demonstrated that she is, she goes to the neighbor's house.
It is night at this point.
Yeah, it was approaching
She either
night.
grabbed her camera or had her HD. I think she had her HD camera.
Yeah.
Because the rest of it, you don't see her face.
Yes, it's first person from here to the end. She runs into the house and she
starts screaming for Wyatt.
Calls for her dad and hears her dad yelling back to her. And she catches up to him just to see him dragged away through the house. And she
keeps
just
running.
Keeps trying to chase him.
She ends up going into the room where she had found the boys that one time. The room with the two beds where they were like jumping on it and screaming and having fun.
Yes. And then she turns around and Katie's there.
Yeah.
And Katie's it's dark and you can't really see that much. And she's just standing there. And all of a sudden she charges at her. And this is...
Demon face.
Demon face again. Oh, that's such a cool effect.
Real demon face this time.
Yeah. She runs...
Into the room.
She runs into the room. She finds a window that she
yeah.
can get out. It's just like papered over.
Right.
Or something. And she gets outside and there's like a bird bath there and Wyatt's there.
She's like, Wyatt?
And is he just completely quiet?
Yeah, he doesn't say anything.
I think he's just quiet.
Or Robbie. Is it Wyatt or Robbie?
It's Wyatt.
Okay.
It's definitely Wyatt. We don't see Robbie
anymore.
Which is why I get the indication that there is no family across the street.
Okay.
And this boy was just one of the boys snatched up from the coven.
Right.
Who was a stand-in to get in to be the bait that goes into the house.
Okay.
So Wyatt's there and she's like, Wyatt, you got to come with me. And she hears a sound and she turns.
Oh my gosh.
And it's the best shot of the movie and it is the final 2 seconds.
It's just a flock of demon-faced women.
It is just a field of women. And then that's
like
the end.
200 women. Not just a few like it was in the third movie. Like hundreds of scary demon-faced women.
The photo in the third movie of the coven is like
12 people.
Yeah, it's 12 people. It's clear that this coven
has grown.
Has not slowed down. And this is the first time we've gotten a full scope of where they are now. Mm-hmm. And that probably means they need to feed a lot of souls to their little demon friend in order to keep him placated. And who knows what that means for the rest of the series? Because this is clearly not the end of anything. I have no idea what's going to happen next.
All of a sudden I was thinking about Ben and how he said he would make her not a virgin and how he had sex 4 times. 3 times with 4 women. 4 girls.
3 times with 4 women.
That's great.
Ben is great. So, field of women. And then I think actually Katie charges at the camera one last time. And that's the end of the movie.
Yep. Oh, I think no. She's looking at Wyatt. Then she looks at Katie coming out of the window of the house. Then she turns around and sees all the other women. Okay. I think Katie's the second last. But anyway.
It's just tremendous.
Horrifying. It was
exactly what I was hoping for this movie.
Yeah.
And perfect misdirection with Wyatt.
Wyatt Hunter.
I was so... It was perfect because I wasn't even looking for it. Mm-hmm. I wasn't looking for them to fool me about that. And they did. I
had told you in the theater, I was like, I had already thought, that doesn't look like Hunter. Wyatt looks like Hunter. But he doesn't look at all like Alex either. Or the mom.
Right.
You could tell he was adopted.
You could have easily told it, but
Right.
you're never given
Right. Any
anything
indication.
to make you think that. Why would you think that?
Right.
Tremendous.
And you still don't know how it happened.
Right.
Why would they give him up? I don't understand.
Yeah, because at the end of the second movie, Katie disappears with
him.
Hunter.
Why wouldn't they just stay together? Obviously, something happens that he gets
Something
taken away.
happened. That's the
Social
plot of another
services
movie
probably
right
just
there.
comes in.
Right.
I mean, she's being abusive or something. Neighbors call. Yeah.
I have no idea. There are so many places that they can go backwards or forwards
Right.
or.
So we loved it. It was great.
As we were rewatching the second movie, I texted Carter and I said, you know what? I think I'm decided this is my favorite horror franchise, period. It's just so intriguing to me. And it accomplishes the scares without any real trickery or gore or anything.
Right.
And I'm also really glad that they're rated R so that they can say.
Uh-huh.
Because if they couldn't say that, I would.
It would be unrealistic in every
Yeah.
way.
Everyone, when they get that scared, says.
A lot of that. Like, there's several usually. So, yeah. I mean, I don't know if it's my favorite. I don't know if I love horror enough to have a favorite, but I enjoy it. I like them. I will watch them. I probably wouldn't have gone to see it if you didn't want to, though. I would just been like,
fine.
whatever. Sorry. Just saying.
You don't have to go next time.
I'll go because you want to go. That's what we do.
Okay, so what's for dinner?
I don't know. Red Robin.
Red Robin. Do we have enough time?
Probably before the crazy hits. We got to go.
Yeah, we're going to go to dinner, and then we're going to go see a completely not scary and totally awesome movie called Argo.
Yay.
We mentioned on the last podcast we were going to go see Sleepwalk with Me, and it turns out it was only there for a single weekend and was already out by the time that we mentioned it. So
Can't happen. Oh, well.
let's go see Ben Affleck.
Okay.